The three Zephyrian warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system where the New Horizon waited. Each ship was massive, stretching over a mile long and bristling with weapons that could destroy entire planets. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never met their match. Commander Vex Thalar stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, studying the scanner readings with growing confusion. His pale blue skin had dark markings that showed his high rank in the Zephyrian military. 4 arms moved gracefully as he operated multiple control panels at once. "Report," he commanded in the clicking language of his species. "Sir, we are detecting the human vessel," his weapons officer replied. "But the energy readings are unusual." "Explain." "The ship should be dead, sir. Our nanobots were programmed to destroy all critical systems within 72 hours, but the vessel is showing massive energy output." Vex Thalar's 4 eyes narrowed. "Perhaps the humans found a way to slow the nanobots. No matter. We will finish what our sabotage began." But as the Zephyrian ships moved closer, their instruments began showing readings that made no sense. The human vessel was not just alive, it was radiating energy patterns that were more advanced than anything in the Zephyrian database. On the bridge of the New Horizon, Captain Jake Morrison watched the alien ships approach. The upgraded view screen showed him details that would have been impossible to see before. He could count the weapons on each ship and even see movement through their transparent sections. "Analysis?" Jake asked. Lisa Martinez worked at a control station that had been completely rebuilt by the nanobots. "Their technology is impressive, but it's actually less advanced than what we have now. The nanobots upgraded us beyond even Zephyrian capabilities." Pete Johnson monitored communication frequencies. "Captain, they're trying to scan us, but our new hull is deflecting their sensors. They can't get accurate readings." Amy Rodriguez looked up from her calculations. "The power output from their engines suggests they use fusion drives. Our gravity manipulation system is at least 100 times more efficient." Jake felt a strange calm settle over him. For months, he had worried about the possibility of encountering hostile aliens. Now that the moment had arrived, he discovered that humanity held all the advantages. "Open a communication channel," Jake ordered. Pete worked at his station. "Channel open, sir?" Jake stepped forward to address the alien ships. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel New Horizon. You are in violation of interstellar law by attacking a peaceful exploration mission." The response came immediately. Vex Thalar's voice filled the bridge, translated automatically by their upgraded communication system. "Primitive humans, you should have died days ago. Our nanobots were designed to eliminate your species before you could become a threat to the natural order." "The natural order?" Jake asked. "The Zephyrian Empire rules this galaxy. We determine which species are worthy of advanced technology. Humans have progressed too quickly and must be eliminated." Jake felt anger building inside him. "You tried to murder innocent people because you're afraid of competition. We fear nothing. We simply maintain stability. Dozens of species have learned to accept their place under Zephyrian rule. Those who refuse are destroyed. Well, you failed to destroy us. And now we're going to show you what human ingenuity can accomplish." Jake turned to his crew. "Lisa, take us to maximum speed. Let's give our guests a demonstration." The New Horizon accelerated smoothly, moving faster than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. In seconds, the human ship had circled around all 3 alien vessels and returned to its original position. On the Zephyrian flagship, alarms began sounding. "Sir, the human vessel just exceeded our maximum speed by a factor of 10, the navigation officer reported with panic in his voice. "Impossible. Their technology is primitive. Sir, our instruments are detecting energy patterns we don't recognize. The human ship appears to be using some form of spatial manipulation drive." Vex Thalar stared at the view screen in disbelief. How could they have developed such technology? Jake's voice came over the communication channel again. "Your nanobots were very educational. We learned a great deal from studying them before we reprogrammed them to work for us instead of against us. Reprogrammed? Vex Thalar's voice rose to a higher pitch. That's impossible. Nanobots cannot be reprogrammed by primitive species. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. To prove his point, Jake ordered another demonstration. The New Horizon's hull began to shimmer and change color. Patterns of light moved across its surface like flowing water. The ship's shape itself began to shift slightly, optimizing its design for different types of movement. The Zephyrian crews watched in growing terror as their instruments overloaded trying to analyze what they were seeing. Energy readings spiked, beyond the maximum range of their scanners. "Sir, their hull appears to be composed of programmable matter," the science officer reported. "This technology is beyond anything in our database." Vex Thalar's confidence was rapidly disappearing. In all his years of commanding Zephyrian forces, he had never encountered anything like this. The humans had somehow taken Zephyrian nanobots and improved them beyond recognition. Dr. Amy Rodriguez made another discovery as she analyzed the alien ships. "Captain, I'm detecting massive data storage systems on their vessels. They contain detailed information about every species they've encountered. Can you access it?" The nanobots are already working on it. They're using quantum tunneling techniques to bypass their security. Within minutes, the upgraded communication system had cracked the Zephyrian encryption. Information began flowing into the New Horizons computers, star charts, technical specifications, and most importantly, records of all the civilizations the Zephyrians had destroyed or enslaved. Jake studied the data with growing anger. The list was enormous. Hundreds of intelligent species had been eliminated simply because they showed signs of technological progress. Entire worlds had been sterilized to prevent the development of potential rivals. "Pete, are any of these civilizations still alive?" Pete worked quickly through the data. "Yes, sir. At least 40 species are still active but living under Zephyrian control. They're forbidden from developing advanced technology and are essentially slaves." Jake turned back to the communication channel. "Commander Vex Thalar, I'm looking at your records. The list of species you've murdered is impressive, but your reign of terror is about to end. You cannot threaten the Zephyrian Empire with a single ship. Watch me." Jake gave Lisa a signal. The New Horizon moved again, but this time it didn't just demonstrate speed. The ship positioned itself directly between the three Zephyrian vessels and began to emit a strange energy field. "What are they doing?" Vex Thalar demanded. His science officer checked the readings with shaking hands. "Sir, they're generating some kind of interference field. Our weapons are not responding." "Override the safeties." "I'm trying, sir, but their field is disrupting our entire electrical system." The New Horizon had effectively neutralized all three warships without firing a single shot. The Zephyrian vessels drifted helplessly, their weapons offline and their engines struggling to maintain power. Jake opened the communication channel again. "Your ships are now disabled. You have two choices. You can surrender and face trial for your crimes against countless species, or you can try to fight us and discover just how outmatched you really are." Vex Thalar's voice shook with rage and fear. "The Empire will send more ships, hundreds of them. You cannot fight our entire fleet." "Actually, we can. Your nanobots didn't just give us advanced technology. They gave us detailed information about every Zephyrian base, every ship, and every weakness in your defenses." Amy looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm also detecting communication signals between these ships and their home base. They've been sending reports about us." "Good. Let the Empire know that humanity has arrived on the galactic stage." Dr. Karen White entered the bridge with a medical report. "Captain, I've been analyzing the biological data from their ships. The Zephyrians aren't naturally aggressive. Their brain chemistry has been artificially altered to increase aggression and reduce empathy." Jake studied this new information. "You mean they've been programmed to be killers?" "It appears so. Someone or something has been controlling them." for generations. This revelation changed everything. Jake realized that the Zephyrians might not be the true enemy. They were victims too, controlled by some other force that used them to eliminate potential threats. Commander Vex Thaler, who really controls your empire? Who gave the orders to eliminate other species? There was a long silence before the alien. Commander replied, "The Eternal Council has guided our people for 1,000 years. They are the wisest beings in the galaxy. And where is this Eternal Council located? The sacred world of Zephyr Prime, at the center of our empire." Jake made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "We're going to pay them a visit. But first we need to gather some allies." He turned to Pete. "Send messages to every enslaved species in Zephyrian space. Tell them that humanity is offering them a chance for freedom. It's time to end this empire's reign of terror once and for all." The communication array, upgraded by alien nanobots, but powered by human determination, began bro. The emergency lights cast an eerie red glow across the bridge of the New Horizon. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the darkness, waiting to see if his crew had just saved their lives or sealed their fate. The electromagnetic pulse had shut down every system on the ship. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. The silence was complete except for the sound of people breathing. Then, slowly, lights began to flicker back on. One by one, the computer screens came to life. "Report!" Jake called out. Lisa Martinez's voice came over the communication system, filled with excitement. "Captain, you need to get down to engineering right now. Something incredible is happening." Jake ran through the corridors toward the Boreal engine room. As he moved through the ship, he noticed things looked different. The walls seemed to have a slight shine to them that hadn't been there before. The lights were brighter and cleaner. When he reached engineering, Jake stopped in amazement. The engine room was transforming before his eyes. Tiny sparkles of light moved across every surface as microscopic machines worked frantically to rebuild and improve everything they touched. Lisa stood at the main control panel, watching readouts that showed impossible numbers. "Captain, the nanobots worked. They switched to repair mode just like we hoped, but they're doing much more than just fixing the damage." "What do you mean?" Tony Clark looked up from a monitoring station. "They're upgrading everything. Look at the engine power output." Jake studied the display screen. The numbers kept climbing higher and higher. "We're at 150% of normal power. How is that possible?" "The nanobots are rebuilding the engine using their own advanced technology," Amy Rodriguez explained. "They're replacing our basic components with materials and designs that are centuries ahead of what we had." Dr. Karen White entered the engine room, carrying a medical scanner. "Captain, I need to show you something. The air quality throughout. The ship has improved dramatically. The oxygen levels are perfect, and there are no traces of any harmful chemicals. The life support system is upgrading itself too," Lisa added. "The nanobots are creating biological processors that can recycle air and water more efficiently than anything we've ever built." Jake watched in fascination as tiny lights moved across the walls and ceiling. Wherever they went, surfaces became smoother and stronger. "How long will this continue?" "I don't know," Amy said. "The nanobots seem to be following some kind of master plan. They know exactly what they want to build." Pete Johnson's voice came over the speakers from the bridge. "Captain, you need to see what's happening to the navigation and communication systems. I'm getting readings I've never seen before." Jake hurried back to the bridge with his team. Pete stood at his station, staring at displays that showed complex star maps and energy patterns. "Look at this," Pete said. "The communication array isn't just repaired. It's been completely rebuilt. I'm receiving signals from all across the galaxy." "What kind of signals?" "Everything. Radio transmissions, data streams, even what looks like some kind of quantum communication network. It's like we suddenly have access to an entire galactic internet." Amy studied the readings. "The nanobots must have upgraded our equipment to use the same communication technology as the aliens who sent them. Jake felt a mixture of excitement and worry. Can anyone detect our signals? I don't think so, Pete replied. The new systems seem to have built-in security features. We can listen and receive, but our own transmissions are encrypted automatically. Dr. White ran her medical scanner over the communication equipment. The energy readings from this equipment are off the charts, but somehow there's no radiation danger. The nanobots seem to have solved problems we didn't even know existed. Over the next few hours, the transformation of the New Horizon continued at an amazing pace. Jake walked through the ship with Lisa, documenting the changes as they happened. In the medical bay, the nanobots had created healing chambers that could repair injuries and cure diseases at the cellular level. The food processors in the kitchen now produced meals that were perfectly balanced for human nutrition, while tasting better than anything they had ever eaten. The hull of the ship was becoming something entirely new. The nanobots were building layers of adaptive armor that could strengthen itself under stress and repair damage instantly. The metal seemed to be alive, flowing and shifting to optimize its structure. Captain, Tony called from the engine room. You need to see the propulsion system. When Jake arrived, he found Tony staring at readings that seemed impossible. We're not using chemical rockets anymore. The nanobots have built some kind of gravity manipulation drive. What does that mean? It means we can travel faster than the speed of light, much faster. Amy looked up from her calculations. Based on these energy patterns, I think we could cross the entire galaxy in a matter of weeks instead of thousands of years. Jake felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was happening. Are you saying we now have a ship that's more advanced than anything humanity has ever built? More advanced than anything humanity ever imagined, Lisa corrected. We're dealing with technology that seems like magic compared to what we had before. Ben Taylor entered the engine room, looking healthier and stronger than Jake had ever seen. Him. The exposure to the nanobots had continued to improve his physical condition. Captain, I've been thinking about what happened to me when I breathed in those nanobots. What if they're designed to work with living tissue too? Dr. White nodded. I've been monitoring Ben's condition. The nanobots seem to have optimized his entire biological system. His strength, reflexes, and mental processing speed have all improved significantly. Is it permanent? Jake asked. As far as I can tell, yes. And there don't seem to be any negative side effects. Jake considered the implications. The aliens who had tried to sabotage his ship had accidentally given humanity access to technology that could revolutionize their entire civilization, but with great power came great responsibility. Pete, are you still monitoring those galactic communications? Yes, sir, and I'm learning some disturbing things. The species that sent these nanobots calls themselves the Zephyrian Empire. They've been sabotaging or destroying any civilization that shows signs of technological advancement. How many civilizations? Dozens. Maybe hundreds. They seem to view themselves as the only species worthy of advanced technology. Amy looked up from her work. Captain, I've been analyzing the data stored in the nanobots. They contain complete technical specifications for Zephyrian technology, star charts showing the locations of their bases, and strategic information about their military capabilities. Jake felt a cold anger building inside him. They tried to murder us, but instead they've given us everything we need to fight back. There's more, Pete added. I'm detecting energy signatures that suggest Zephyrian ships are heading toward our location. 3 large vessels, moving fast. How long until they arrive? At their current speed, about 18 hours. Jake looked around at his crew. The nanobots had not only saved their lives, but had given them capabilities beyond their wildest dreams. The New Horizon was no longer just a mining ship. It was now the most advanced vessel in known space, equipped with technology that could challenge an entire galactic empire. How are our new systems performing? Jake asked Lisa. All systems are operating at levels I didn't think were possible. The ship is stronger, faster, and more powerful than anything the Zephyrians have probably ever encountered. Good, because I think it's time we introduced ourselves properly to our would-be murderers. Jake walked to the main view screen and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien warships were approaching, expecting to find a dead human vessel drifting in space. Instead, they would find something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The transformation was complete. The New Horizon had become something entirely new, a fusion of human engineering and alien technology that was greater than the sum of its parts, and Jake intended to use every advantage they had gained to ensure that the Zephyrian Empire's reign of terror came to an end. "All hands, prepare for contact with hostile alien vessels," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We're about to show them what happens when you underestimate humanity." Time was running out fast. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the ship's main laboratory, watching his best engineers work desperately to understand the alien devices that were killing his ship. 46 hours remained before the life support systems would fail completely. Lisa Martinez bent over a microscope, carefully examining one of the tiny machines they had removed from the power systems. Her hands moved steadily despite the pressure. Next to her, Tony Clark worked at a computer terminal, trying to map the internal structure of the devices. Dr. Amy Rodriguez sat at another station, running tests on the strange materials the machines were made from. "Talk to me, people," Jake said. "What have you learned?" Lisa looked up from her microscope. "These things are incredible, Captain. The level of technology is beyond anything we've ever seen. Each device has millions of tiny parts, all working together. But what do they actually do?" Jake asked. Tony pulled up a diagram on his screen. "They're designed to break down our ship's systems one molecule at a time. See these tiny arms here? They grab onto metal and plastic and slowly tear them apart," Amy joined the conversation. "The really amazing part is how they power themselves. They seem to pull energy directly from empty space itself. I didn't think that was possible." Jake studied the diagram. The tiny machine looked like a microscopic spider with dozens of arms and tools. "Can we stop them?" "That's the problem," Lisa said. "There are hundreds of them throughout the ship, maybe thousands. We've only found and removed about 50 so far. And even if we remove them all, the damage is already done," Tony added. "Our systems are breaking down faster than we can repair." Them. Jake felt frustration building inside him. They were the best engineers humanity had to offer, but they were fighting technology that was centuries ahead of their own. Dr. Karen White's voice came over the communication system. "Captain, I need you in medical bay 2. We have a situation." Jake hurried to the medical bay. Karen stood next to a bed where Security Chief Ben Taylor lay unconscious. Tubes and wires connected him to various machines. "What happened?" Jake asked. Ben was helping remove one of the alien devices from the air recycling system. Something went wrong, and the device released some kind of gas. He breathed it in and collapsed. Jake looked down at Ben. His face was pale, but his breathing seemed steady. "Is he going to be okay?" "I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before. His body chemistry is changing, but not in a way that seems harmful. If anything, his vital signs are stronger than normal." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" "His heart rate is perfect. His brain activity is more active than I've ever measured. Even his muscle tone seems to be improving." Before Jake could respond, Ben's eyes opened. He sat up quickly, looking around, the room with alert eyes. "Captain? What happened?" "I feel different." "How different?" Karen asked, holding up a medical scanner. Ben stood up and stretched. "Stronger. Like I can think more clearly. Everything looks sharper somehow." Karen's scanner beeped rapidly. "This is impossible. All of his body functions have improved by at least 20%. Jake stared at Ben. "You're saying the alien device made him healthier?" "It seems that way." Jake felt a new idea forming in his mind. "Karen, I want you to run every test you can on Ben. Find out exactly what changed in his body. Yes, sir. Jake returned to the laboratory where Lisa, Tony, and Amy were still working. I need to tell you something. The alien devices might do more than just destroy things. He explained what had happened to Ben. The three engineers listened, with growing excitement. You think the devices can be reprogrammed? Amy asked. I don't know, but we need to find out fast. Lisa turned back to her microscope. I've been wondering about the same thing. Look at this. She showed Jake a detailed image of the inside of one of the devices. See these sections here? They look like they could be programmed for different tasks. What if the destruction program is just one option? Tony pulled up more data on his computer. Amy's right about the power source. These things use zero-point energy. That's theoretical technology that could power a city. Jake felt hope growing inside him. If we could reprogram them, what could they do instead of destroying our ship? The possibilities are endless, Amy said. With this level of technology, they could repair damage, improve our systems, even build entirely new components. How long would it take to figure out how to reprogram them? Lisa and Tony looked at each other. We're talking about technology that's probably thousands of years ahead of ours, Lisa said. It could take months or years to understand it completely. We have 42 hours, Jake said firmly. Captain, that's impossible, Tony protested. No, it's not. We're humans. We've always been good at taking other people's technology and making it better. The wheel, gunpowder, steam engines. We've improved on every invention we've ever encountered. Amy nodded slowly. He's right. We don't need to understand everything about how these work. We just need to figure out how to change their programming. For the next 8 hours, the team worked without stopping. They took apart device after device, mapping their internal structure and trying to understand their control systems. Other crew members brought them food and coffee, but they barely paused to eat. The breakthrough came when Lisa noticed something strange about one of the devices they had damaged while removing it. Look at this, she called out. This device was partially broken when we pulled it out of the engine, but instead of shutting down, it started behaving differently. Under the microscope, the damaged device was trying to repair itself. Its tiny arms moved frantically, gathering microscopic pieces of metal and trying to rebuild its broken sections. It's in repair mode, Tony said excitedly. The damage must have triggered a different program. Amy ran calculations on her computer. If we could deliberately trigger repair mode in all the devices, they would stop destroying the ship and start fixing it instead. How do we trigger it? Jake asked. Lisa studied the damaged device more carefully. It looks like we need to disrupt the main control circuit in a very specific way. Not enough to destroy the device, just enough to confuse it. Can we do that to all of them? We'd have to reach every device throughout the ship. There are hundreds of them in places we can't even access. Jake thought for a moment. What if we don't have to reach them individually? What if we could send some kind of signal that would affect all of them at once? Amy's eyes lit up. An electromagnetic pulse. If we calibrated it correctly, we could disrupt their control circuits without damaging our own systems. Would that work? Jake asked. Maybe, Lisa said. But we'd only get one chance. If we get the signal wrong, we could destroy all the devices completely. Then we'd definitely die when life support fails. And if we get it right, then the devices would switch to repair mode and start fixing our ship instead of destroying it. Jake looked around at his team. They were exhausted, but their eyes were bright with possibility. 34 hours remained before life support failed. Do it, he said. The next 12 hours were the most intense of their lives. Tony and Amy worked together to design the electromagnetic pulse, calculating exact frequencies and power levels. Lisa prepared the ship's communication array to broadcast the signal. Other crew members helped by identifying the locations of every alien device they could find. Pete Johnson helped coordinate the effort from the bridge. Captain, we're getting reports from all over the ship. The system failures are getting worse. Navigation is completely offline now. How long until the pulse is ready? Jake asked. 6 more hours, Amy reported. We're running final tests on the calculations. Make it 4 hours. We're running out of time. As the deadline approached, Jake gathered his senior staff in the A bridge. Everyone looked nervous but determined. This is our only chance, he told them. If this works, we might not only save our ship but upgrade it beyond anything humanity has ever built. If it fails, we'll be dead in 20 hours anyway. Lisa's voice came over the speakers from the communication array. Captain, the pulse is ready. Broadcasting in 10 seconds. Do it. The ship vibrated slightly as the communication array sent out the specially designed electromagnetic pulse. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every screen on the bridge flickered and went dark. Emergency lighting activated, casting red shadows throughout the bridge. Jake held his breath, waiting to see if they had just saved their lives or guaranteed their deaths. The deep space mining ship New Horizon drifted through the dark void between stars. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, watching the endless black space through the main screen. 3 months had passed since they left Earth, heading for the mineral-rich asteroids in the Kepler system. Everything had been going perfectly until today. The first sign of trouble came at 800 hours. Chief Engineer Lisa Martinez called from the engine room, her voice tight with worry. Captain, we have a problem down here. The main engine is losing power fast. Jake stood up from his chair. How fast? We're down to 60% and dropping. I've never seen anything like this before. Jake walked quickly toward the elevator. I'm coming down. Keep me updated. The engine room hummed with activity when Jake arrived. Lisa stood at the main control panel, her dark hair pulled back as she worked. Red warning lights flashed across multiple screens. Other crew members moved around her, checking systems and running tests. Show me what you found, Jake said. Lisa pointed to a screen showing the engine's power output. Look at this graph. The power has been dropping steadily for the past 4 hours, but here's the strange part. There's no visible damage anywhere. Could it be a fuel problem? No, sir. Fuel levels are normal. All the mechanical parts look fine. It's like something is eating the power from the inside. Jake frowned. The New Horizon was humanity's most advanced deep space vessel. They had tested every system dozens of times before launch. Nothing should be going wrong. Communications Officer Pete Johnson's voice came over the ship's speakers. Captain Morrison to the bridge, please. We have more problems. Jake and Lisa hurried back to the bridge. Pete stood at his station, looking pale. Sir, the communication array is failing. I'm losing contact with Earth. What do you mean losing contact? The signal strength has dropped by half in the last hour. At this rate, we'll be completely cut off in 6 hours. Dr. Karen White entered the bridge from the medical bay. Captain, I need to report something strange. The medical scanners are showing errors I've never seen before. They keep shutting down and restarting. Jake felt a cold fear growing in his stomach. One system failing was bad luck. 3 systems failing at once meant something was very wrong. Lisa, take a team and check every major system on the ship. I want a full report in 2 hours. Yes, sir. Jake turned to Pete. Send an emergency message to Earth. Tell them we're having technical problems and might lose communication. I'll try, sir, but the array is getting weaker every minute. The next 2 hours felt like the longest of Jake's life. Reports came in from all over the ship. The life support system was losing efficiency. The navigation computer kept crashing. Even the food processors in the kitchen were starting to malfunction. Lisa returned to the bridge with her report. Her face was grim. Captain, every major system on the ship is failing, but here's what's really strange. I can't find any reason why. Explain. All the parts look perfect. The connections are solid. The software is running normally, but somehow everything is just slowly dying. Jake sat down heavily in his command chair. They were millions of miles from Earth, too far for any rescue mission. If the ship's systems continued to fail, they would all die in the cold darkness of space. How long do we have? If the failures continue at this rate, we'll lose life support in 72 hours. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Jake made a decision. All department heads, meet in conference room 2 in 10 minutes. We need to figure this out fast. The conference room felt cramped with 6 people inside. Besides Jake, Lisa, Pete, and Karen, there was also systems specialist Tony Clark and physicist Dr. Amy Rodriguez. Talk to me, Jake said. What could cause every system to fail at once? Tony spoke first. It could be some kind of computer virus, but our security systems would have caught that. Amy shook her head. The failures are affecting mechanical systems too, not just computers. This has to be something physical. Lisa had been quiet, thinking. Now she looked up with a strange expression. What if it's sabotage? Everyone stared. At her. Think about it, she continued. We're the first human ship to travel this far into space. What if someone doesn't want us here? You mean aliens? Pete asked. It's possible. We always knew we might encounter other species eventually. Jake considered this. It sounded crazy, but so did every system on their ship failing for no reason. If you're right, how would they do it? We haven't seen any other ships. Maybe they didn't need to get close, Lisa said. What if they planted something on our ship before we left Earth? Amy leaned forward. Like what? I don't know. Some kind of device that's programmed to destroy our systems slowly. Jake made another decision. Lisa, I want you to do a complete physical inspection of the ship. Look for anything that doesn't belong there, anything at all. That could take days, sir. We don't have days. Take Tony and Amy with you. Start with the most critical systems first. For the next 18 hours, the 3 engineers crawled through every part of the ship. They opened panels, checked connections, and examined every component with magnifying tools. It was Amy who made the discovery. Lisa, come look at this. Amy was in the main power distribution center, holding a tiny piece of metal under a microscope. Lisa looked through the eyepiece and gasped. What is that? I found it attached to the main power coupling. Look closer. Lisa adjusted the focus. What she saw made her heart race. The tiny piece of metal wasn't just metal, it was moving. Microscopic parts shifted and turned inside it like a miniature machine. Tony, get over here. Bring the captain. When Jake arrived, Lisa showed him what they had found. Under the microscope, the tiny device looked like something from a science fiction movie. It was smaller than a grain of rice, but incredibly complex. There are dozens of these things throughout the ship, Amy reported. Maybe hundreds. They're attached to every major system. What are they doing? Jake asked. They're eating our ship from the inside, Lisa said, slowly breaking down the connections and circuits. That's why everything is failing. Jake stared at the tiny machine. So you were right. Someone sabotaged us. Yes, sir. Someone who has technology far beyond anything we've ever seen. Jake felt anger rising inside him. Someone had tried to murder his crew. They had planted these devices on his ship, probably while it was still on Earth, and programmed them to kill everyone aboard. But as he watched the tiny machine work under the microscope, another thought occurred to him. If they could figure out how these devices worked, maybe they could turn them off. Or better yet, maybe they could learn from them. Lisa, I want you to study these things. Learn everything you can about how they work. Sir, we only have about 50 hours left before life support fails. Then we better work fast, because I'm not letting whoever did this win. Jake looked around at his crew. They were scared, but he could see determination in their eyes too. Humans had always been good at solving problems. Now they had the biggest problem of their lives to solve. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Jake had a crazy idea. What if they could do more than just stop these machines? What if they could make them work for humanity instead? Research Station Vextar, hung in space like a metal spider with long arms reaching out in all directions. Captain Jake Morrison studied the alien structure through the main screen of the UES Defiance. The station was bigger than he had expected, with dozens of ships docked at various ports. "Scan for human life signs," Jake ordered. Lieutenant Amy Davis worked at her console for several minutes. "I'm reading 5 human signatures in the central section of the station. They appear to be alive but confined." "That's Dr. Campbell's team," Commander Alex Turner said. 5 people went missing." Jake nodded. "What about defenses?" "The station has shield generators and weapon platforms," Alex reported, "but nothing that can seriously threaten us." Jake made his decision. "Take us in, but broadcast a message first. Let them know we're coming for our people." Lieutenant Karen Scott opened all communication channels. "Research Station Vextar. This is Captain Morrison of the Earth vessel UES Defiance. We know you are holding human prisoners. We are coming to retrieve them. Do not interfere and no one will be harmed." The response came quickly in broken English. "Human ship, you are not welcome here. Leave our space or face destruction." "They don't want to negotiate," Alex observed. "Then we do this the hard way," Jake said. "But remember, most of these people had nothing to do with what happened 300 years ago. Minimum force only." The UES Defiance moved toward the research station. The alien defense platforms opened fire first, sending streams of energy toward the human ship. The attacks bounced harmlessly off the Defiance's shields. "Disable their weapons," Jake ordered. Lieutenant Dan Hayes targeted the defense platforms with precision shots. One by one, the alien weapons went silent. The station's shields flickered and died as the generators overloaded. "Station secured." "Captain," Alex reported, "sending boarding teams." On Research Station Vextar, Dr. Lisa Campbell sat in her cell wondering if she would ever see Earth again. For 3 weeks, she and her team had been questioned by Corthani scientists who seemed terrified of humans. The aliens asked strange questions about Earth's military strength and whether humans were planning to return to this part of space. The questions made no sense to Lisa. As far as she knew, humans had never been to this region before. Her team had been the first Earth expedition to study the ancient alien ruins they had discovered. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the station. Lisa heard explosions and the sound of running feet in the corridors outside her cell. Through the small window, she could see alien workers fleeing in panic. "What's happening out there?" asked Dr. Mark Johnson, one of her team members from the cell next to hers. "I don't know," Lisa replied. "But something has them scared." The cell door suddenly melted away as a human in military armor cut through it with an energy cutter. Lisa had never been so happy to see Earth uniforms in her life. "Dr. Campbell?" the soldier asked. "I'm Sergeant Roy Davis with Earth Security. We're here to get you out." "How did you find us?" Lisa asked as more soldiers freed her team members. "Long story, ma'am. Captain Morrison will explain everything once we get you to safety." As the rescue team moved through the station corridors, they met little resistance. Most of the alien staff had locked themselves in their quarters or fled to escape pods. A few Corthani security guards tried to stop them, but human weapons easily overcame their defenses. In the station's command center, Commander Yexkol watched his screens in despair. The human ship had disabled his defenses in minutes. Now human. Soldiers were moving through his station like they owned it. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "the humans are requesting to speak with you." "Put them through," Yexkol said with resignation. Captain Morrison's voice came through the speakers. "Commander, we have retrieved our people. We will leave your station undamaged if you agree to meet with us for negotiations." Yexkol was surprised. "You want to negotiate?" "Yes. There are things we need to discuss. Things about the past that both our peoples have misunderstood." An hour later, Yexkol found himself in the UES Defiance's conference room. Across the table sat Captain Morrison, Dr. Campbell, and several other humans. Also present was Sub-Commander Kethrol, the Korthani prisoner who had been treated well by the humans. Commander Yexkol, Jake began, we need to talk about why your people have been attacking us. You know why, Yexkol replied. You have returned to finish what you started. During the burning, Dr. Campbell looked confused. The burning? I've never heard of that. Jake explained what his crew had learned from Kethrol about the events of 300 years ago. As he spoke, Dr. Campbell's expression changed from confusion to horror. Genocide, she whispered. They committed genocide against human colonies. And then humans responded with the burning, Yexkol added. Your Admiral Turner destroyed the Great Alliance and left our worlds in ashes. But that was 300 years ago, Dr. Campbell said. None of us were alive then. We didn't even know it had happened. Yexkol studied the humans carefully. You truly did not know? No, Jake said. Earth lost contact with its deep space colonies centuries ago. We assumed they had just failed or been lost to accidents. We never knew they had been deliberately destroyed. And we never knew that humans had returned to space, Yexkol admitted. When our sensors detected your ship, we thought you had come back to complete your revenge. Dr. Campbell leaned forward. Commander, why were my team and I taken prisoner? We needed to know if Earth was planning another war, Yexkol explained. Your people were asking questions about ancient ruins that contained records of the burning. We thought you were gathering intelligence for an invasion. We're archaeologists, Dr. Campbell said. We study the past to learn about ancient civilizations. We had no idea those ruins contained records of human history. Jake saw an opportunity. Commander, what if we could prove that modern humans have no interest in conquest or revenge? How? Let us contact our government. Let us arrange a proper meeting between Earth and the Korthani Empire. We can share our historical records and you can share yours. Together, we can learn the complete truth about what happened. Yexkol was quiet for a long moment. The High Council would never agree to meet with humans. They are too afraid. What if we could show them that we're different from the humans of the past? Dr. Campbell suggested. What if we could prove that we want peace, not war? Sub-Commander. Kethrol spoke up. The humans rescued our survivors from the battles. They treated our wounded. They could have let us die in space, but they saved us instead. That is true, Yexkol agreed. Your behavior has been unexpected. Jake made a decision. Commander, I'm going to do something that might seem crazy. I'm going to give you complete access to our ship's databases, our history, our technology, our military capabilities, everything. Alex Turner looked shocked. Captain, that's classified information. Not anymore, Jake said. If we want trust, we have to give trust first. Yexkol stared at Jake in disbelief. You would share your military secrets with us? Yes. Because I believe that understanding is the only way to prevent another tragedy, like the Purge or the Burning. Over the next several hours, Korthani scientists studied human historical records while human archaeologists examined alien archives. The complete picture of the past finally emerged. The original human colonies had been peaceful settlements focused on research and farming. The Great Alliance had destroyed them out of fear and prejudice. Admiral Grace Turner's response had been swift and devastating, but it had been limited to military targets. The humans had withdrawn from galactic politics not out of weakness, but out of disgust at what war had made them become. Your ancestor was remarkable, Yexkol told Alex Turner as they reviewed Grace Turner's final message to the galaxy. She could have destroyed every world in Alliance space, but she chose mercy instead. She wanted to end the cycle of violence, Alex replied, but instead she just delayed it. Until now, Dr. Campbell said. Maybe we can finally break that cycle. Yexkol contacted the Korthani High Council and transmitted everything he had learned. The response took hours to come, but when it did, it changed everything. The High Council has agreed to meet with Earth representatives, Yexkol announced. They want to establish formal diplomatic relations. Jake felt relief wash over him. And our search for other human colonies? Will you help us? Yes, Yexkol said. Our records show that some human settlements in remote systems might have survived the purge. We will help you find them. As the UES Defiance prepared to return to Earth with news of their discovery, Jake reflected on how quickly everything had changed. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become first contact with an alien civilization that had feared humans for 3 centuries. Captain, Dr. Campbell said, what happens now? Now we go home and tell Earth that we're not alone in the galaxy, Jake replied, and we work to make sure that the mistakes of the past are never repeated. The UES Defiance began its journey, back to Earth, escorted by a small fleet of Korthani ships. For the first time in 300 years, humans and aliens traveled together through space as friends instead of enemies. Behind them, they left a galaxy that was finally ready to heal from the wounds of its past.